Hey thinkers, it's Thinker161 and I'm here again. I'm thinking maybe I'll just start making videos on Sundays because I always seem to like make these little ramble rant things on Sundays because now things are popping in my mind. And I think, well, before I even get into what I wanted to discuss, I had a thought just now that our thoughts are conditioned around what's going on around us. So depending on our environment, that's what our thoughts kind of are based on, I suppose I'm trying to say. Those instantaneous thoughts, not those thoughts that linger, because there are certain thoughts that linger. Now I'm thinking about thoughts, but there are certain thoughts that do linger and that are always on your mind. People in your life, or God, or things like that, schoolwork, things like that. They do continuously, work. They do continuously just kind of stay in the back of your mind, but there are certain thoughts that you get based on your surroundings and based on your environment. And so that's probably what's happening with these little Sunday ramble rant things, is that based on my environment, things are happening, and so I felt the need to talk about them. But yeah, I just wanted to note that I may be changing up my YouTube channel a little bit. I'm thinking maybe I'll change the name of it. Some certain things will be changing, so just a heads up. So if you come on and then there's something else going on, just know that there are some things in the works, hopefully. But yes, so what I wanted to come out and talk about, what was on my mind and why I decided to make the video. Respect. I know I mentioned in my last video that respect is super important to me. It's a super big deal. It's like it's just I don't even know, because, and I think what happens is there was a time in my life where I didn't really respect people and I didn't respect myself, and I think that's maybe where it stems from, where I'm so adamant about it now. I'm very mindful to respect everyone. I might not like you, but I respect you. You may rub me the wrong way, but I respect you. And I think it's such an important thing to have those respects in place. I always have something in my mouth, so I'm doing sorry. I think it's a super big deal to have that established and have those things in place. Like it's just not necessary to be disrespectful to anyone. And so I'm thinking, like, if you don't have respect for yourself, how can you have respect for someone else? And those are the kind of thoughts that I'm having, because usually you find the people that lack respect for other people lack respect for themselves as well. They don't hold themselves, they don't carry themselves to a high respect. So they allow people to disrespect them, and so they think it's okay for them to disrespect people. And there should be a standard there. There should be a sense of, I'm going to respect myself, and so because I respect myself, and because I don't want to be disrespected, I have to respect other people. And it's just what goes around comes around. That's basic, just like laws of whatever nature. If you, whatever you put out, that's what you're going to get in. And if you're looking at someone who respects themselves and carries themselves decently, why am I bugging out? If you're looking at someone who carries themselves decently with respect, and you can see that all over them, it's going to be more difficult for you to disrespect that person, especially when that person's a respectful person towards you. And so it kind of boggles my mind when you just have these people who are just disrespectful for no reason, disrespectful with the mouth, disrespectful with the way, even the way they carry themselves, even the way they address people, just anything. It's just full of disrespect. And I'm wondering, I was having an interesting conversation with a coworker yesterday, and we were talking about this next generation coming up. And this next generation coming up, I often say it, but then I check myself, because it's like we have to be the middleman, because it's like we're the young adults of this moving forward generation. So we're the ones who the generation after us, the teenagers and the preteens, are looking at for guidance, to be the big sisters, to be the big brothers, to be the uncles, to be the cousins, to be the role models. you know, as we look towards our big sisters, our big brothers, our parents, you know. But I'm looking at it to say, are they learning the values that we learned? And are they learning that you have to respect yourself? I'm looking at young girls nowadays, and it's just, the respect is dropping significantly, and it troubles me and it worries me, because, you know, I didn't, like I said in the beginning of the video, I didn't always have respect for myself, but I was taught to. You know, when sin comes in, it plays a huge part in how you look at yourself, and it plays a huge part of how you carry yourself. And just because I went away from those things, I was still taught those things. Those are still fundamental to me, you know, to carry yourself properly, to speak properly, to adorn yourself properly. Those things were engraved in me. My mom was raising no fool, and you know, even as I strayed and came back, those things came back with me. So, you know, the Bible tells us to train up the child in the way they should go, and when they're older, they will not depart from it. So even though you may teach your child something, just because they're not listening or taking heed at the moment, doesn't mean they won't come back to it. But what troubles me is that they're not even being taught nowadays. It's not even something that needs to be established. You know, and we were talking about even like hitting girls, like that was a no-no. When you're growing up, you knew you didn't have to hit girls. That's not being taught today. And thank God for the parents who are. Bless God. Thank God for the ones who are doing it, who are teaching it. But as a majority and as a mass, it's just, the standards are dropping. Respect is dropping. Respect for yourself. The need to have respect for other people. You know, we take it as a joke, or we take it as it's not important. Values are no longer important. Right and wrong are no longer important, because it's a blurred line now, and now it's become sensitive, and now it's become, let me live my own life. And yeah, you can live your own life, but there's a right and a wrong. There's values, there's standards, and you should be able to tell someone you're doing something wrong and not be labeled as, it's a hate crime. It's not a hate crime to tell you that you're being stupid. Stop it. It's not a hate crime to tell you that you sound ignorant. Stop speaking. It's not a hate crime to tell you you talk too much and young ladies are not supposed to talk that much. It's not a hate crime. It's not a hate crime to say have something substantial to talk about. It's not a hate crime to say, hey, you don't have to carry yourself that way. That's not a hate crime. That's instilling in you values. That's instilling in you morals. Instilling you, you know, and it goes back to a lack of love as well, I think, where it's just like people don't know that they're worth anything, so they don't feel the need to carry themselves as if they're worth anything, and they allow anybody to talk to them any kind of way, and it's okay, because they don't think that they're worth more than that. And it's just so wrong, so wrong. And so I just, you know, let's get back to that. Let's get back to that. Let's think on those things. If you have a younger sibling, if you have a younger cousin, if you have a young niece, a young nephew, a young brother, a young sister, and let's instill in those things. Let's instill those things into them. Right, wrong, respect for yourself, respect for other people. Let them know that they're loved and they're worthy, they're deserving. Let them know that they mean something in this world, because we're dealing with that too, where life becomes meaningless for these young people. Hey, glory to God. They're not living for anything. They don't think their lives mean anything. And so we need to keep that in mind when we're dealing with them. And trust me, I'm speaking to myself, because certain things I say to young people, and it's just like, no, you don't have to say that, because we have to kind of put ourselves in the mindset to know they're living this world. And you know, it's so awesome to me because of the plan of God, because we never chose to live this way, but He called us, He purposed us to be here for a time such as this. And so they were put here purposefully. Let them understand that you're loved, your life means something, and in that, and instilling in that, and instilling that in them. Bless God. I need like speech something, but you know, putting those things into them, speaking those things over their lives, you'll see the change. But we have to be the mediators. We have to be the advocates. We can't just sit back and say, you know what, this generation's going to heck and we can't do anything about it. That's crap. We have the power to change things. We're not always going to be the most popular because our opinion's not the popular opinion. However, somebody has to stand up and say something. Bless God. And it starts with one, yeah, but you know, we can do it. We can do it. And we can't just decide that it's okay and look at them and look at us too, because my generation be tripping too. Everybody's generation be tripping, and you know, parents, and let's let this generation know that they mean something. Because right now the world is telling them that they don't. Society is telling them that they don't. Society is telling them that they're just another face, black, white, colored, whatever. Society is telling them that young people, you have no voice, because everybody's looking at them and saying, this generation. You people looking at me and saying, you have no voice, you're a young person. Don't say nothing to me. Let's follow the rules. Don't start no trouble. Just go as it's being taught. No. Let's think. Let's think. Open up your mind. Think. I'm not saying to go against the grain. I'm not saying to go off the cuff. I'm not saying that certain things that the old-fashioned way is not a good way. But let's think. Don't just do things because you're being told. And I'm not saying to go against your parents, please, because I know some young people be looking at this. Don't go against your parents and the morals and the values that they're putting in place for you. If you know you have the mind to know when someone is giving you good advice and sound advice and leading you in the right way to strengthen you, to train you, to build you up as a good person in society. What I'm saying is don't get stuck in a box. Everybody telling you, oh, this is cool, this is all right to do, because now that's what that is. Oh, everything's all right. There's no right, there's no wrong. Everything's just okay. Everything can just go. No, not so. Not so. Don't look at me and tell me because somebody told me this is who God is, that's who God is. No. You find God for yourself. Think. Open up your brain. Open up your understanding. Think. Let your mind go. Not just because someone tells you, you're looking at something and you see that it's a circle. Not because somebody tells you it's a square, you change your mind and say it's a square. Not so. If you see a circle, you see a circle. Think about why it's a circle. Think about why they see a square when you see a circle. Think. We're closing our minds and just accepting everything that everybody's giving us. Why? We're not called to just be dormant people, dormant creatures. No, God gave us a mind. God gave us understanding. God gave us interpretation. We're not always correct in it. That's why we have the older people, and we're going against the grain where it's become, I don't want the old people don't understand, or come on, think. That's what they're there for. When you think of something and you need it to be shapened a little bit, that's what they're there for. To shapen you, to say, well, this is what this is. But you expound, you open your mind. So, I mean, I know that just went totally left field, but respect for yourself. Let's think on these things. Think on these things. Let's think on thinking. And, you know, as always, if you leave a comment, if I'm talking foolishness, let me know I'm talking foolishness. If you don't agree, let me know you don't agree. Let's talk about it. Let's think about it. But what I want you to think on this week is I'm still on that standards thing, but we need to implement that. And we need to be making sure that this new generation is implementing standards for themselves, you know, and not just, we have this unfiltered society where everything's just okay. And I mean, I don't think it can be everything just okay, because there's a good and bad. There's a right and a wrong. There's good and evil. These things just are. So it can't just be everything goes. Everything's just okay. Yes, God is there. God is gracious. But it's like, if you only are, or if you're only looking for him, if you only know him because he's good, if you only know him because he's gracious, if you only know him because you sin and then he's there to have mercy, would you want to be in a relationship with someone who only knows you when they need something? Bless the name of Jesus. Would you want to be with someone who only calls you when they're in trouble, who only speaks to you because they know that you're gonna forgive them when they do bad? Do you want to be in a relationship with that? But as soon as you forgive them, they go back and they don't want to talk to you just to talk to you. They don't want you to just be a part of their lives. They're only there because you can give them something. Let's not use God, because he desires a relationship from us. Yes, he's going to give you all this world has to offer. He's going to give you the desires of your heart. Yes, he will grant you peace. He will grant you mercy. Yes, he's merciful. Yes, he's good. But he's so much more. He's so much more than that. And he desires us to seek him, to know him. To know him. And so let's think on that. Let's think about it. Think on these things. So, yeah. I love you. God loves you. Peace.